of the stimulus package, that's government responding to the private sector. We want to understand what kind of package do you have, speaking about the stimulus even, for MSMEs, particularly in relation to the COVID-19 recovery?
Thank you, moderator. Now, as UDB, being a development bank for the country, I think this is the time when our relevancy is very critical. Because this is the time, economists call it the time of downturn or bust, when there's a crisis. And that's when a DFI plays a very critical role. So as a bank, of course we also have limitations. As a bank, we are focusing on how do we revive the economy. And also, how do you revive the economy even beyond COVID? Because there are a lot of lessons we have learned from this. There are certain commodities we feel are very essential for this country. And supposing there was a complete lockdown where the borders were closed and we had to rely on what is within the country, how would we have survived? If you have no salt, if you have no sugar, if you have no medicine, if those essential things are lacking. So this is how we are looking at the future. So our greatest focus, of course, we have the key sectors of the economy, which of course is aligned to the government NDP 3 and Vision 2040 focus areas. But the critical areas which we have identified, and we have learned a lot of lessons from this impact of COVID, and of course the measures taken to stave the impact of COVID, which is in fact created a lot of challenges, is areas of industry and agriculture. Those are very key areas which we are putting a lot of effort. Of course, there are other areas which are also important. Trade, tourism is also an area we are focusing a lot on. So really, industrialization and agriculture is one of the key areas which we are focusing on, and we are putting a lot of resources on that, because we realize that if we can industrialize, we can solve a lot of problems which is facing this country. First of all, foreign exchange. If we add value, we can get a better foreign exchange. If we industrialize, we can provide gainful employment to our people. And if we industrialize, it has some backward and forward linkages into agriculture, because most of the inputs to our industries come from agriculture. So you promote agriculture, you provide employment, you promote services and other related sectors. So we thought if we focus on industry, this would really help to solve some of the problems in the economy. And even the issue of structural poverty. If you industrialize, you provide gainful employment, you are going to solve the problem of poverty, which is in the country. I think that is what I can say for now.
Absolutely. Before I leave you and move to Mr. Badaga, inclusiveness, gender issues, maybe scale of business, how is that being tackled from the standpoint of UDB and intervention, especially with COVID?
There is something we have been doing, but we want to enhance it further. For a DFI, we are not like commercial banks. For us, the assessment of development impact is very, very important in any of the intervention we undertake. In other words, when I talk about development impact, I talk about how does the project you finance help to impact on the youth? How does it help to impact on women and other vulnerable groups? How does it provide employment? How does it help the country to earn foreign exchange? How does it impact on the GDP of the country? How does it impact on the distribution of wealth in the country? These are key things which we are at the top of our assessment for any project we select for financing. That's why you see now, with the COVID now, we have even gone further and said, let's design special products for women. And that is one of the strategic initiatives we are on now. Let's design specific products for youth, because youth forms the biggest percentage of the population. You leave them out, you have not distributed wealth. So that is what we are focusing on now. It's on top of our strategic focus.
If Dr. Sawanyana was to, offer you, Dr. Sawanyana was to offer you research, evidence, what would you require from her so that you do your job better, especially speaking of the stimulus?
I would look for, one thing I would look for as a DFI is, what are the development potential in the country, different areas of the country? Then 2, what is the overall poverty profile for the country, different areas? What are the level of, the details of the poverty? Once you give me those 2 data, the potential in that area and the poverty level in that area, my intervention will focus on first areas of high poverty and what are the opportunities there which I need to exploit for development, which will impact on those people. Of course, there are other data, but those are the first 2 things I would require.
Well spoken, and it looks like you need to engage more. Dr. Sawanyana there has given you a cue. Let's move